Welcome everyone to podcast episode number 13 of the It's Finance Made podcast. Today we're going to speak about why we do it a bit differently than the market, what we're doing exactly, how the current market works, and everything around that. So the term we use for this is hybrid financial planning. We're going to go a lot more into detail what that means. But just to kick off the episode, I want to give a quick overview on what we mean by hybrids. So there's basically two sides when it comes to financial planning these days. You have the fully DIY side, fully do-it-yourself side, and you have the let's say done for you side. And we believe that for most people, something in between is actually better. And we're going to go more into detail about that. Why don't you want to start, Kareem, and tell us more about the market stuff?
Will do. First, just two things to mention, two key dates. We have on the 9th of October our launch event for our new release, Finance Made
Yes.
2.0. So the link to that is on our website. So if you do want to check it out, we have a lot of new exciting product updates coming out. So please join us. And the second key date, today is Daniel's birthday. So happy birthday, Daniel.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
But yeah, that's just before we kick off. But yes, hybrid financial planning. So today, as Daniel mentioned in the market, there's a lot of DIY tools more in the tech space. There's also Excel always. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of content on social media. There's a lot of blog articles. A lot of people, have invested a lot of effort to try to do this themselves, as in take care of their financial situation, start investing, start trying to grow their portfolios, things like that. And the complete other side of the market is this fully done for you, which is maybe banks, asset managers, wealth managers, this side of the market who make their money by managing your money and therefore really want to take ownership of your finances and give you a fully serviced solution. Especially for our generation as millennials, a lot of also the emergence of these tech tools comes from our need to also have control over our things. Like we don't like giving away like full ownership of our things in general. So but we still feel that the current tools in the market don't really address sort of the holistic financial picture and lack a little bit of guidance. There is so much content out there, it's almost like information overload, and it's very easy to doubt yourself and to also miss things. You don't know what you don't know, so it's very hard to know if you're doing the right thing for you. So what we try to do at FinanceMate is really blend this and have this hybrid approach where we do have a digital product where you can plan out your finances but offer also human support to guide you through that process. So that's sort of like how we see it.
Yeah. Actually, I want to add there because you said, yeah, millennials have like sort of the attitude of, doing it ourselves or not like giving up the control and stuff. I think that's a very big point. I think, yeah, technology in general is just so enabling also, right? I mean, our parents' generation just didn't have it like that. They would have maybe done it too. We don't know. So the tech is really important these days, and everyone's like, used to having really good tech products and using them. But the other side is also that in today's world, and you mentioned that briefly too, is there's so much content out there about like anything. You can find any sort of tutorial. You want to learn something new, you just go to YouTube and you find like 1,000 videos about the stupidest thing and tens of thousands of videos about like more common things, right? And that can be obviously like super cool. And I think we've all like learned a lot watching YouTube videos. But yeah, when it comes to like very like potentially life defining things and big decisions like financial decisions, then there's a lot more to it than just watching YouTube videos and learning from them and you know often that stuff is also quite generalistic and it's not super personalized to your specific situation. So that's one other big part, I think, where why we think this like done with you hybrid approach is really good, because you don't have to spend like hundreds of hours learning about a new topic necessarily and then like figure out, oh, is this the right information for me, or is this the right information for me, or you know and but have like somebody to like spar and have experience. So like that sort of aspect of the why services, especially in the financial world, also exist, right? Like they have a very valid point to be there, and they have a lot of benefits to them.
Yeah, you can think of it also. I mean, you can compare it to all different sorts of skills. Like there's like DIY, is it like just content to DIY basically everything. So let's take any random example, gardening or like building things in your home, right? Like there's tons of content. You can do DIY, you can learn the skills, you can become like a kind of okay gardener. That's one approach. The other approach is, you hire a professional to do it for you, right? So these approaches exist. But if you want to, actually become good at it, DIY itself usually is limiting, right? Like again, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know like the whole picture. You maybe do a course or whatever, but you don't know if that course was complete or holistic or was maybe missing things. So usually the best approach is to find the expert, let the expert coach you while also doing the DIY learning yourself. And then through that combined learning experience, you can sort of reach the level of mastery, right? And that's what we try to do with our clients. We give them the tools that they need to manage their finances, make it as easy as possible, do the heavy lifting, as in the financial calculations, but then train you how to use the tools to manage your own finances. Like we're not planning to like do everything for you. Like the idea is to coach you to be able to use the tools and to manage your finances yourself and have control over that.
That is actually a really good example of comparing financial planning to building a house, because yeah, you can, if you think about it, you can probably watch a YouTube video on, how to, I don't know, upgrade your kitchen, right? And that's maybe something you can do. You can focus on that part, but if you don't have the house ready or if it's not built and you start, working on the kitchen, great, amazing, maybe a bit soon for that, right? And on the picture of building the house, you can also probably watch YouTube videos on how to build a house, right? But not sure if that is gonna, show you everything you need to do to do it properly and to get the result at the end that you're looking for. You might actually get stuck just watching YouTube videos on how to build a house because there's so much to it, and you might never actually get to the point of execution. So, because it is complex, right? And answering questions of what to do with your money, yes, you can find an easy solution to that. And there's going to be somebody who tells you invest in property, somebody else tells you to invest in stocks, maybe crypto, and you can go down a rabbit hole for each of them and learn that in detail. But if the general question is, for example, do I have enough money to retire? How much money do I need in the first place? And there are a lot of things to consider, right? And for that, you need structure. And that's something that we can provide. We have the tools, we have the expertise to support with that. It's something that I think just watching a YouTube video or reading an article, it's going to be very difficult because it's your unique situation and it needs to be really tailored to that to actually be able to help you answer those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other part is that financial planning is also, I mean, as you just said, like it's, I thought I like the analogy of building a house. There's like so many parts to it, right? Plumbing, electricity, plastering, like the roofing, like there's like so much, and there's just no app at the moment that can do that. And I think that's also because this whole DIY thing, maybe to financial planning, is it's very, very hard to know to know about all of these different topics and then bringing them together also. That's why this fully service thing, where then you go to a wealth manager and they have like 4 different experts on, like, one expert on real estate, one expert on public markets or whatever, one expert on inheritance, and then they have a tax advisor, something like this, right? And then they have you actually go and you pay for a huge team, which is obviously very costly, but then they do it all for you, and you like sort of didn't learn anything. And there's usually maybe not even a dashboard to go into and like, oh, actually I want to play around on the weekend and see if I did this, like what would happen, and all of these other apps that exist are usually, they solve like one specific problem. Right? They solve for budgeting, like, or they connect to your bank account and you see where, like, how much money you spend where. If you have a modern bank account, they do that for you already, right? Or you have an app that just like does the investing for you, right? We all know those. Or an app that just tells you about, again, one specific thing. You have an app for your insurances where you can buy them and you get like almost weekly newsletters or emails about, hey, you look at this insurance, look at that insurance. I think you should like get that insurance and stuff like this super salesy newsletter content. At least I get that stuff. I don't know if you guys get that too, but it's quite annoying.
Yeah, for sure. No, exactly. And I think going back to the house analogy, like finances is just so intertwined, right? Like anything you do with regards to your finances has impact on your long-term finances somewhere else. If you take this pension versus, investing in ETFs, it has an impact here in the long term. If you, I don't know, buy a property to live in it, versus renting and then investing, like it has like a impact on how much you can put towards your kids like college fund, right? Everything is so connected and
Yeah.
intertwined, like at least our belief, like then having these sort of standalone like tech tools that do only one thing misses that complete picture and then doesn't allow you to actually make decisions which take into account or the opportunity cost or like the cost of not doing something else, right? Because they're trying to sell you their product. And so that's like from the tech approach. And then if you look at the fully serviced approach, yes, they try to also look, at this holistic picture, but firstly, it's very exclusive. Like you need to have like a high level of wealth to even access it. Because like Daniel said, they have like really teams of like highly trained like expensive people, and like to get access to that is really expensive firstly, and then for them to actually have like a working business model, they really need to take ownership of your assets and manage it for you, for it to be actually worth it for them to do it. And then yeah, you lack the transparency, you lack the control. Like maybe once a quarter you get some report and you can allow to make certain decisions on the high level allocation, but you don't really get to look into the details and get to understand the different compromises you need to make, and how different things affect each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what we try to solve with Finance Mate, to give users that level of control, also the level of detailed decision making, like along the way, but with the human support as well, because the human support we think is very important to really understand the intricacies of the interconnections of things, but also to support with the emotional level of making these decisions.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, that it's not us doing everything, right? Like it's really, we stick with the house example. I think it's actually a really good one. It's like as is you building the house, right? But we give you the expert tools, right? We give you the right tools at the right time, tell you which tools make sense to use, right? If you build a house, you probably don't want to go just in an average shop and just buy the cheapest tools. You probably want to use the best tools, right? And the right tools for the right job. And that's something we provide. That's part of our dashboard, the calculators that we use, and the planners that we use. It's the right tool for the right job, and it's made for this, right? And at the same time, we guide you on what you should be focusing on, what you should be doing first, and we also coach you on how to do it, right? So it's really having somebody mentoring and coaching you while you're building the house and making sure that you do everything sequentially in the right order, asking the right questions, explaining like how we think it should be done. Of course, you can still do it your way. You can personalize it and think about what's important to you, and make those decisions. In the end, you make them yourself, right? I think that's relatively important, that you're always in control. It's not somebody else doing it for you, right? It's us doing it with you, and really focusing on what is it you want to do, what is it you need, and just guiding you there and coaching you in that way. And I think that is actually pretty unique. And that side, we do build the tools to actually get the job done properly. And I think that part is also pretty unique, that the tools are then actually working together to give you the full picture.
And now, actually want to be a bit challenging. I just had that thought, like, what if people like maybe listen to this now? It's like, wow, that sounds super cool, but there's a reason why like wealth managers or bigger banks have like big teams, to focus on all the different aspects. Like what makes us like, what gives us the ability to do the same. That usually, quote unquote, usually takes like a team of quote unquote bankers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, how would you answer that, guys?
Yeah, no, I think it's a very valid question because, yeah, I think traditionally and without technology, this would not be possible, right? And I think that's really the core here. Like we do use a lot of technology. We do a lot of heavy lifting in the background. Like, I worked a lot with different wealth managers like over the years, not like personally, but through my career and asset managers like investment firms, hedge funds, and so on. And you would be surprised, given how much money they manage, still how manual a lot of their work is. It's a lot of Excel sheets, a lot of emails, like copy pasting things here and there and moving huge numbers around the screen, but moving numbers along the screen manually nonetheless. And we use a lot of technology in the background to do a lot of the financial calculation heavy lifting. And that enables us to very quickly understand the financial situation of our clients, and to, make sure that the advice that we're giving them is really tailored and personal without having to spend hours on Excel for each client to really understand what are the best options for them. So maybe just very, very quickly, I don't want to like walk through like the whole product right now, but we always start with a financial snapshot. So understanding your income, expenses, assets, and debts. And, you put that in as a user, as a client, you enter that in. And we actually use this together with other sort of core financial requirements that you have as an individual, like your risks, like your life events, like what you want to do in your life, your plans, your dreams, your ambitions, and combine all of this within one database to then calculate financial decisions or the potential of financial decisions for you. All of this is done using technology in the background, so we can like open a page as long as you fill out all of your information correctly. We also make sure that like you fill it in correctly. We can support you with that too. And the calculations are automatically done for you. For some of the more traditional banks and wealth managers, like I know because I've worked in them, this would be an intern or an analyst like sitting there until 3 a.m. like per client, like doing the analysis, like manually creating like a PowerPoint presentation, copy pasting charts, and then sending it to the client the next day, right? Like this person is probably highly paid. I mean, it's quite a high professional job.
Yeah.
So obviously your fees that you pay to the wealth manager need to pay for their salary and to the salary of the person that delivers that information for you. Whereas for us, because we use technology to calculate that, we don't have these high costs and therefore are really able to work with you on a affordable basis, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I can add to that. You've obviously used the word technology a lot. I think the main thing here is, yeah, we're building a product that is not a product that you will be sold like on a monthly basis or whatever, but it's, to me, I always think it's like Excel and like all of these others, all of the other apps, like sort of combined and on steroids. Like that's sort of what I also want to build, right? Not, also for myself, I've also always been missing a tool like that,
Yeah.
um, where I can just go in. I can maybe even update like monthly or quarterly, like my sort of financial situation. And I really like that part of doing it manually too, because then you just like, it's a bit more, makes you think more than just having something that's like automatically connected to your bank account and it tells you, oh yeah, like this was like 20% more than like last time. You're like, yeah, cool. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's automated and it's there. Like there, it, there is something to certain things doing them manually that like has that triggers that reflection process of like, oh,
Yeah.
wait a second.
It's much more
Um,
intentional.
it's more intentional, exactly.
Right.
And yeah, having that all in one place, and yeah, not having to open some Excel sheets and like Google formulas, or put it into Clause or open a ChatGPT and say, oh, can you please like help me build all of the formulas and stuff. Like that's just not 2025 anymore, right? And as you said, I also with like tax advisors, all of this stuff, there's not many, if some at all, that are like really, really digital, and integrated, in that sense.
I think the nice part about how we use technology is really to automate the parts that are similar for every client, right? Like the ones that actually take computations that are relatively, like common, and that just gives us time to focus on the client. Because what is really important initially when you enter the numbers is to understand the situation, right? And ask the right questions. For example, are you planning to stay in Germany? Are you planning to retire? Are you planning to leave? Those things have consequences, right? Also on what we think you should be or what you could be investing in. Like there are things that you might not even consider. For example, purchases in the next few years that you need money relatively short term. And those things come up in conversations. They're personal. And then the tools help us to put those numbers in our system and come back with results, and then we can look at charts, right? And that's actually the nice part of it. And I think what's most beautiful at the moment is that everything comes together at the end, and you can actually see like for your income, your expenses develop over time. You can see what what income streams might, for example, go away, right? Like when you decide, hey, this is the point that I want to retire. Where's my money coming from, right? You can really then see bringing everything together. Is your money going to come from pensions? How much is going to come from pensions? How much is maybe going to come from real estate and other income sources? And that I think is relatively unique, actually. But that's only something when you put everything, look at everything individually, and then be able to bring it together. And that's definitely where technology has a leg up, because doing that manually, just imagine, honestly, like that,
Yeah, and the thing at least for me is it has to look beautiful these days. I don't know. I'm just like, no, I really like if I'm using a product or anything online, I just want it to look good. Like, come on, it really is 2025. Like, I want the charts to be pretty. I want to, I want the flow to be nice. I don't want to look at I don't want to open PowerPoints and like look at charts that have like weird old colors that just look like it's these very little things that are actually really important
Yeah,
for me,
totally.
like the aesthetics around it, because you're with the financial stuff and your financial plan, right? You're like building your life, so it better be f pretty,
I
design
mean,
is
it's
fun. Yeah.
yeah, it's not just the aesthetics of it, but like I think also being the way that we visualize like your financial information also makes it much easier to understand. Like I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are also just more visual by nature. Tables of big numbers are not often the way most people understand information. Some people do, and like we have that too if that's what you prefer. Things in easy to understand charts, and the human to ask, "Hey, what does this number mean?" is what makes all the difference for us.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the output is definitely a good point. That the output in 2025 needs to be visually appealing. I agree with you. Otherwise, you don't necessarily want to spend time looking at it. To me, it's also the input. Like when I go on Elsa and do my tax return on Elsa, and there's so many different fields. I mean, if you have ever done your tax return yourself, also for your company, like there's so many fields where you're like, is that for me? I don't know. Like it's just there. It's like somebody took a PDF form where you have all the answers for everybody for whom that PDF form is supposed to work, and you all of a sudden answer questions about like how much money are you making from farming. Like,
Yeah.
I built a business. Like I'm not farming here. Like why do you even ask me? Is that even relevant for me? Why? Like what am I supposed to do here? So I think data input and really targeting, tailoring that to the person in front of you is also a big part of it, to have a proper user experience and just show what's relevant, right? Make it as easy and seamless as possible to enter the data that's actually relevant for the person that's trying to get a proper view on their finances.
And I think also another big part, like for me, and why we use standardized formulas but custom data, is I think the technological approach also just removes bias. We don't like put bias like in the formulas. These are purely financial calculations. And once you put your data in, it uses the same like formulas to help make the decisions. Unfortunately, if you go to the fully serviced approach, even though they generally also try to use like standardized formulas, they're always going to be business pressure to sell a certain product, to drive customers in a certain direction, like to just exist, right? Like because these incentives exist, and I've been part of this industry. Like I understand also the business pressure like to do that, but ultimately, is it really the right thing for the client? I think we also, because we, oriented our business model to be paid directly by you, the client, who's that we're helping. We remove like the bias from a business model perspective, so from an incentives, but also through the technology by really standardizing the way that things are calculated. So we don't push any individual in any certain direction. It's really based on like what you want to do, not what we want you to do. And I think that's also a big difference that you can achieve
Yeah.
with technology.
Yeah. And I think the like sort of the level of clarity you can achieve with a done with you approach is also much, much higher than in the other two approaches, right? Because yeah, if you do it yourself, sure, like if you invest 100, 200 hours of research, you can get to like a very good understanding of
Yeah.
how things work. But you really want to do that, and then you still don't know what you don't know. And then on the other side, if you have a fully serviced, like it looks pretty, it sounds good. You're probably also making some money, like wealth managers, they obviously have their place. But do you really understand what's going on? And do you really have the clarity, sort of like how things go? I don't know. Maybe some also like provide that, but I think just like being able to have your sort of have the ownership over your data, and then going in and doing some changes when you want to, not without asking anyone for permission, is quite a cool thing, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Like time is definitely one topic, right? You can, as you said, you can easily invest in 200 hours, and you can invest 200 hours also just in one topic, right? You can just invest 200
Yeah,
hours
totally.
into, how does investments, how does the stock market work, and what's a perfect portfolio, and you can probably go down off the path that all of a sudden you're starting to trading on charts, because somebody told you that's how you do it, and you go down that path and you don't even realize how deep you are in that rabbit hole that is completely unnecessary. So like finding the right thing to focus on, and the right level also on in terms of what to look at, is also something that, yeah, you do it yourself, you can easily lose sight of what's actually important and what you should be focusing on actually what drives results in the end. And it's not just time, it's also money in the end, right? If you take 200 hours over a year to figure out how to invest your money into stocks, let's say, and in the meantime you have 200,000 euros sitting in your bank account, it's 200,000 euros that is not invested, right, till you feel comfortable actually doing it. And that's something that we can provide much sooner, is the confidence that like it's going to be a good decision that you're taking, that we help you focus on what's important to feel comfortable investing that money in something that makes sense, because you have somebody that helps you figure that out and prevents you also from making mistakes, right? So you feel more comfortable actually getting started.
Yeah. I think the other very sort of important point is there's not like a perfect financial plan at the end. That's the outcome, right? So even if you go like for a done for you like service, and then they send you everything at the end, like here's your master Excel financial plan, and here's the presentation that goes with it, and you paid like 5,000, 10,000 euros for it. 2 years later, you changed your goals, and the whole thing is like outdated, like that also just doesn't really work anymore these days. It's just to have like one plan. It's like, cool, this is how my next 60 years are going to play out, like that's just like very far from reality, especially if you're an international and have family in different countries, and not sure if you like stay in one country and whatever. So having something that's more dynamic and living with time and sort of leads with life events is it's just a much more timely approach. It's maybe not the best approach, like sell you products, right? But it's just a much better approach to what we believe financial planning should be.
Yeah, it adapts with you, adapts to also your changing life, because life changes all the time. And yeah, like I agree. I think having a static plan is sort of what people did in the past, because they didn't have the ability to build something dynamic. Everything was at a certain point in time when you pay someone to evaluate something. But now with technology, you have this ability to really adapt and evolve, as things are changing. And we give you control to also enter data, like when things change, like maybe you got a promotion or you left your job, or, you suddenly have much higher expenses because something happened in your life.
Yeah.
So, and then, the
Or you
plan
want to
can
quit your job,
adapt.
right? Or you want to quit. We spoke about that in the last episode. Like you want to quit your job. It's obviously like a very the financial weight that sits in that decision is also very, very heavy. Like a lot of people say, oh, I can't quit right now because, the money is good and I need it and all of that. But if you actually plan that out, it's like, okay, this is the date, what's sort of my emergency fund, so this and that, then you can really plan for it. And then you can look also forward to, handing in your resignation, doing the last 3 months of notice periods, it's having this like clarity, just really, really empowering. I've seen that with, very close friends who I've helped with that. And so, yeah, it's just much more, there's a lot of anxiety that goes away with that.
Yeah. I think another like pretty good example, like for us, for this with you like approach is also evaluating, real estate as an investment decision. Like we've had like a bunch of users also really use our calculators quite a lot after we showed them how to use them. So for example, someone evaluating if they should buy real estate as an investment because they heard that there's, good tax benefits in Germany from doing that. So you could, again, there's some websites online where you can find stuff like that, but usually, again, they're trying to sell you a mortgage or they're trying to sell you like real estate brokerage. So like, how much can you actually trust really the output of those numbers? So that's one part. You can try to build a model on Excel yourself. Good luck. It's hard. We spent months like trying to really figure out like all of the detailed like calculations there. And then the other approach again is, go to someone like a broker, but again, they're trying to sell you real estate. So do you really trust like the numbers? But for us, again, we created an unbiased real estate calculator. You can go onto the product. We do it with you the first time. We evaluate the property with you. And then you can always log back into the product. Like all of our plans are also lifetime access. So you can use it for life pretty much. And you can evaluate any sort of real estate decisions. And we calculate not just the financial impact of that specific decision, but then also, things like tax benefits are super intertwined also with your income. So at least for us, the way we do it is we then like link the real estate income that you're getting with your actual income from your snapshot, which means we have the whole data set connected within our database. So we can, give you an estimation on, and we're not tax advisors, so we don't give you like exact numbers, but we give you estimations on the tax benefits that you can get in a very personalized way. Like no other calculator online can do that because they don't have your full financial situation. And I think that's exactly like where you really start to see the benefits of this hybrid financial planning and linking all of your data in one place with already pre-built tools. Because yes, you can build all of this and build a super sophisticated Excel model yourself. It's really difficult to do, to be honest. And there's so many interdependencies. And we spend a lot of time really thinking about how to make sure all of our data sets are also connected in that way to give you the most value with the least effort, basically.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Guys, I think, this is a bit of a shorter episode. It felt a bit more, promotional from our side, but I think it's actually key for people to really understand what we mean by hybrid financial planning, and what sort of the options are, and I guess also why we believe it's a really good approach for not everyone, but for a lot of people to do it that way. And Alex, you look like you wanna have a few last words here, or
I mainly wanted to say that I think for us, what we're building is a tool that we would want to use, right? We talk to our clients, we see what they need and what they want. But in the end, I think we're also building the tool that all of us would want to use, right? It's kind of, we're seeing the market, we're seeing what's available, and we're like, what would we want actually, right? Like we also would want to manage our finances, as I said at the beginning, ourselves, right? We want to understand. We're probably the type of people that sit down and spend 200 hours building that Excel sheet to make that decision and to really understand it And I think a lot of our clients, not everybody, of course, feel the same about it. They also build their own Excel sheets. All of us have to realize at some point, hey, the complexity is madness. All the things you don't know are madness. Like that sheet is going to help you think through things, right? And understand it and, keep engaged and learn. But it's not going to give you the answers that you're actually looking for, right? It's not going to be able to look at real estate and it's like, oh, buy an apartment. What are the implications for my retirement, right? What's my cash flow now? What are my tax returns? What happens if I don't earn an income anymore? How is it going to be taxed in retirement? How much money actually do I need in retirement? How much money do I want to have? No, that's just not it, right? You can look at one property, you can analyze it, and see if it's a good investment, right? That kind of thing, I think is possible, doing it in a spreadsheet, but not putting all your financial life in there and hoping you get an answer that actually
As
makes
an
sense.
Excel like normal person,
Yeah.
I've recently also learned that there's Excel World Championships where these people have like I don't know, they do solve like Excel puzzles in like speed, time, and whatever. Like that's pretty insane, and maybe some of them could build that. But to build that, then you need all the knowledge, and then that's where you have to invest the hundreds of hours to like learn all that. And I
Exactly.
guess at some point you just have to ask yourself, like, is it worth spending 100 hours of my own time? What would be an hour worth for you of work? Like, is it $60? Then spending 100 hours would mean you have like 6K spent on just researching without actually coming to a conclusion, without knowing if you've researched the right thing and how that plays out in a holistic way. So yeah, that's just how we think about it. And yeah, guys, let's wrap this up. It's my birthday today, so I have friends arriving that I need to take care of. But yeah, it was a fun episode. And one reminder again for anyone who's still listening, kudos to you. If you're into this, we have a launch event of the new platform next week, Thursday, the 9th. Go to the website. You will see it there. It's for free. You can just listen in and drop out if you think it's boring. So yeah, I think
Book a discovery call. Check out, like, I will show you the platform. I will show you the
yeah.
platform so you understand what we have and how the process works, and then you can make an informed decision.
All right, everybody. Have a good long weekend. Bye bye.